Welcome to Mediumship Moments with psychic medium Kym Durham. Join her as she shares her personal journey with mediumship, connects with your loved ones, and discusses topics dealing with spirituality.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mediumship Moments. I'm your host, Kym Durham, second-gen psychic medium. Thanks for listening. Today, we have a special episode. And I say special because it links into something that obviously I talk about professionally. I can chat with your loved ones who have crossed. I hear, see, and feel them. And today I'm going to talk about how you can connect with your loved ones. I have someone special, near and dear to my heart, who's going to chat about that and share personal story and talk about some equipment that she's used to connect. Welcome, Aubrey.
Hello. Oh, I'm back.
Just when you thought it was safe. She's back to share some stories and to help me with the podcast and share some insight. So today I want to talk about how you can connect with your loved ones. And everybody, like I have clients that come in, they're like, okay, I don't understand this. My sister, dad shows up in her dreams and I haven't seen him. I don't feel him. And, they kind of get jealous and they have that feeling that they're missing out, or why not me?
The rivalry still keeps going even after.
Yeah, exactly. Sibling rivalry continues even after they earn their wings. And so when I talk about this, when there's and let's just briefly touch upon when somebody crosses. All right. Now, I've seen this as a nurse, that the spirit continues and crosses over immediately. And I hate to say this, there's no holding area. I know. There are certain religions that tell us you're in, timeout until you, do something better and, go ascend to a higher energy.
I like timeout better than limbo.
Do you? You like
Good job
that?
on that.
Yeah, okay. So you're in timeout, spiritual timeout. But no, when you die, you cross over immediately. And, Dr. Moody has done fabulous research about near-death experiences, and we have so much information. The brain actually continues for 7 minutes after the heart stops beating. So the perceptions in the room, they can hear you. All right. So I often tell people, when your loved ones and you're lucky enough to be present, and I say lucky, it's, I was lucky enough to be there with my dad and hold his hand as he earned his wings. A lot of your loved ones don't want you to be there. Okay. When their wings show up and they need to put them on, it can happen when you're running to get a cup of coffee at the hospital or stretching your legs. And, so many people are devastated that they're not there when they cross. Really, they hear you. So if you come back into the room after they've earned their wings, they can still hear you. And often I see them, without sounding, spooky, I often see the spirit in the room. It's kind of like their physical body's in the bed and, dad's in the corner of the room going, hey, well, look at me. I'm over here now. All right, this is how it's going to be. And then they ascend. I've often seen that. So your loved one crosses and they've earned their wings. How long does it take for them to be able to figure this all out? Well, it takes a little bit. I often say, and I say this lovingly, that when your loved ones cross, they never cross alone. There is your transition team comprised of your family, friends, your other loved ones, right? They meet you there.
The posse.
Yes.
The gang's all here.
The gang's all here. And, when I've sat with people, I've actually sat in ICUs and communicated with those that are about to earn their wings. I was honored to do so with not only clients, family members, but my own. And so your loved ones are there. They help you over. I lovingly say, get you fitted for your first set of wings, get your butt off to Angel Boot Camp. So that transition period, I often say, I see your loved ones with you right after they cross. Now, what do I mean by that? They're there at the funerals. They're sitting in the aisle. They're, chatting with me about, I'm so glad you took the skirt off and put pants on me. And, I don't often go to funerals because I don't want to be an idiot because they talk to me a lot. But so they're with you. They're with you through the initial grieving part. And that's usually, I'm going to say 2 to 6 weeks. Can you communicate with them? No. Well, I'm going to say yes and no. If there's an emotional tie there, like for instance, with my dad, that's emotional as opposed to maybe a great uncle he was the fun funkle, loved him at parties. And
Was that one phone call? We'll always answer.
Right. And so it depends on that interpersonal relationship. But usually 2 to 6 weeks, that initial grief, they're with us. They're here to console us. And then I lovingly say they start to get better with their wings. They learn because they're in a different dimension. They're in, and I know this sounds sometimes, woohoo. Shout out to Tina in Arizona. But everything's a vibration. Everything's an energy. And all of our organs are vibrating in a different frequency. We ascend to a different frequency, a different vibration. So they're learning to manipulate that energy. And I often say, I straddle a threshold between one room and another. And so they're learning how to manipulate that energy in their new room, shall we say, and that new space. So how do you connect with them, right? There's a lot of suggestions. Aubrey, when we talk about, we can share our own, loss of loved ones. I talk about the story when my mom crossed 3 days later. And, I know, for me, cardinals and a lot of people, cardinals mean, but my mom could actually mimic the sound of a cardinal. She could. She's down at the beach.
She was a bird whisperer for sure.
She was.
I would catch her out on the back porch. I couldn't find her one day. I was like looking everywhere in the house for her. And I just remember I walked by and she is literally like Snow White, just handing out crumbs and things and these birds are just coming from every angle. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, well, she's meditating.
Yeah. So 3 days after she crossed, when I'm outside yelling at the clouds because I can't believe my mother up and left the party without as much as a goodbye. And that cardinal showed up in the tree, her favorite tree, 3 feet from me, squawking at me. And I'm like, oh, great. This is how we're going to talk now? Super. But there are signs and symbols your loved one, however interpersonal, if it resonates to your heart, then that's the sign. You don't need a medium. You don't need me to convey or give you the okay or validation that it's your loved one. So early on, right, they go through that transition period. There are things that they'll start to do that people start to feel. And again, we all have strengths. Ladies, you listen to your gut feeling. If it feels like a gut feeling, like, you know what? Like I feel like my hair on the back of my head, my neck is like, I feel like there's a change in the room. Some people smell their perfume.
I was just about to say, yes, scent is a big one. We really rely on our senses. And when a sign does come to us, I'm a big believer in trusting in your intuition first. It's that guttural instinct. And scent, sometimes sight. I know a lot of people out there, they're like, I just want to see them one more time. I just want to see their face, see their body, see them moving around, see them sitting in their chair all the time. That might be too much. That might not, that is a very rare instance for some people. And when people get that, have that moment, hold on to that because that's a lot of energy that loved one is trying to show you. But sometimes scent or a sound, something very little can mean the most for a lot. And I say trust your instinct on that one.
Yeah. And they can manipulate. I've seen them show up in family photographs. And you're like, really? Mm-hmm. We all talk about the energy of an orb. Big science geek here, Albert Einstein, energy can't be destroyed. It can only change in its form. And sure enough, they show up in orbs. And, and all of a sudden you have this orb as the family's gathering for a holiday photo. And you're like, oh my God. And you blow it up and you kind of see like, I don't know, your dad's mustache. And you're like, okay, what? There's this circle that has a mustache in it. Is that your dad? It could be. So there's signs and symbols. The initial, what you're looking at here is 2 things, right? Your loved ones cross, they're in a different dimension, a different energy that they're learning to manipulate. And then you're dealing with grief. And grief is a journey that each of us unfortunately have to take. And we walk through that journey at different paces, at different time points, very much on a bell curve, if you will. But, it's usually the first 6 months that is the deepest. I never want to sit with anybody prior to 6 months of their grief because it's just this cloud and it actually interferes. Your brain's scrambled. You can't make sense of stuff. You're like, what did I do yesterday? Really? I went there for breakfast. I don't remember. Like there's this disconnect emotionally. And for you to sit with a medium, whether it's me or anyone else, you've got to be open mind, heart, body, spirit kind of thing. And if you're not present because of that disconnect of the grief, don't sit with anyone. You're doing yourself. So many people reach out to me and said, oh my God, I've had a devastating loss. I've lost a child. I've lost a partner. I've lost a parent. Sit with your grief. Work with grief counselors. It comes in waves. I'll talk about grief in an upcoming podcast, but you can't just quick hurry up, go see a medium. You shouldn't. You really shouldn't, to work with someone. So let's talk about, Aubrey, some of those signs that, when we talk about connecting with someone, like you want to feel their presence, like you miss their energy. How do you do that? And they talk about, just sitting quietly in a room. And you're like, really? I've got 3 kids and the TV's on and someone's always fighting.
Lock yourself in the bathroom.
Yeah,
find a place.
Yeah, the closet.
The pantry. Yeah. You got the snacks. You can meditate and
the places
snack.
we used during COVID that we found that we had, our quiet spaces.
All the corners of the house.
Yeah. So find someplace quiet if you can. For me, it's early morning and just sit quietly. Now, some people like to meditate. I'm a big believer in it. Again, it shifts energy. We're all portals of energy. But even if you just sit for a moment, and you just go to your favorite place. I often take people on a meditation before I work with them to get their energy in this place. Go to your peaceful place. It's the beach, the mountain, whatever, your happy place. Picture that in your mind's eye. Picture yourself there and I talk about a bench, and ask your loved one, if they're present, to come and join you on the bench and just be there with them. Some people like to write a log down of this experience. I went to the beach. My mom loved the beach. Some of the angels are the tannest. They're milk chocolate. God love them, with bleach hair, and the mercurochrome ladies and baby oil. Yeah, I'm going
Hawaiian
old school.
gold.
Yeah,
is coming to mind.
And so let's say your grandmother was one of those people down in Wildwood, down at the beach, and she comes and sits with you. And of course, she's maybe in her bathing suit with her little the flip flops and her beach hat, and and she comes and just sits with you. Now, some people will see them, right? The clairvoyant, and just actually be there with them. Then there's others that will hear, you're sitting at your bench at your peaceful place. Let's say it's at the beach, and you hear your grandmother's voice. And she had a distinctive 2-pack a day kind of voice coming through.
Had a very subtle whisper.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hear that, and you hear, hi, hon, or something like that. And it's like, how comforting is that? Because when you heard that, you smile. That just makes you smile inside and out. And that may be one way, right? Touching, right? So meditate, sit with that space, and just be with them. Okay? I would recommend that. Another way, Aubrey, you had talked about their belongings.
Yes. You talk about when you do see people, you do tell them to bring in a photo or a piece of jewelry that connects to them. Heirlooms are very special. And an heirloom doesn't need to be a piece of jewelry. It could be grandma's baking dish. Or now, do I say sit in your room and hold on to the baking pan? No. What I'm saying is, if you're going to bake for this holiday season, use it with intention. If you use something of theirs, you have this ability to say, hi, my mom Joan. Now, my mom Joan did not bake, but we're going to say she did for this example.
If you take the tube and cut it in half.
Yeah, that's work.
It could be.
Non-greased pan, half the work, less time. Yes. But like I said, if you take that intention and you say, thank you for this gift. I love you. I miss you. And I can't wait to see you again. It's those little moments that not only I think help with us, because grief comes and goes, like you said, it ebbs and flows. One minute you could be okay, and then the next it hits you like a ton of bricks. However, I believe if you have a sentimental heirloom or something so little, it can be something so tiny that it brings you both comfort to your loved one in the spiritual world. That's what I believe. And I think that helps.
And it's a good point. Like, when you're sitting there, I have them show up from the other side holding a lasagna pan. And I'm like, and again, it's left to my interpretation, and I'm like, so, Does lasagna pan, like the cording kind of with the blue? Oh my God. It was my grandmother's, my mom's. It made the best lasagna. It was like that. You couldn't make lasagna unless you had that
crispy on the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And those brings back, food is so comforting, and memories. And even though mom would, I remember the punch out Christmas cookie thingy. We tried.
You got that.
We did have a Christmas
I got
like that.
Toll House.
Yeah, Toll House. But, if that pan resonates, go make lasagna. And they actually, and I will tell you this, when your loved ones come through and show me that lasagna pan, Grandma Lucetta is standing there with her apron on. She's got a little flour, all right? She's flouring up the countertop, and she's, getting everything set up. She's chopping everything up and prepping. She's talking. And so when you go to put the seasoning in, and you go, and you hear a little in your voice, right? Your ear, that inner ear, and you hear, hon, put a little more cheese on it. Come on, for Christ's sake, put some cheese on it. Like that's Lucetta from the other side working with you and teaching you and passing on those family recipes. Recipes are a huge thing that I see quite often. And it's not just talking about the recipe. Like I'll describe the log, how it's written, where it is. I mean, they come through. It's not about me and my ability. It's about them. Your loved ones on the other side really wanted to touch base about how important that is. So, go make that lasagna, right? Now, let's talk about some other ways. And again, other mediums use to hold on to items to make that link. Tyler Henry is very well known to do that as well. I have clients, like I said, that bring in maybe a watch, a ring, or when you sit, they'll go, by the way, the keychain, like I just had a woman sit with me. She was remarkable. She was a sweetheart. And her husband came through. Big guy, Tommy, big Irishman. I mean, brings me to Wildwood and Irish Weekend. Okay.
Dangerous.
I've been there a time or two. Anyway, and he showed me the key ring with the colada, and I drew it. And he goes, "It's in your purse. You brought it."
Is there any strange sign that a loved one in a session or at an event that you thought was like, I can't believe I'm about to say this in front of you? Now, we're not telling you to, when you see my mom, if you do get the chance to bring in like Uncle Timmy's Harley Davidson into the office, like you can't, you know what I mean? You can sit on it and then talk to Uncle Timmy, but you can't,
Right. There are obviously people bring jewelry in. People, what they'll show me? They'll show me dust. Like they'll go poof like this. And then I know someone brought their ashes.
Interesting.
So I've had that happen quite a bit.
They're not saying that their house is dusty.
No, they're not saying. From dust you come, from dust you shall. One of the most unusual ways I've just been shown how somebody crossed is I was shown a tsunami, which is the first time I've ever had an angel cross in a tsunami. But that's not really bringing belongings. But, the more unusual things, it runs the gamut. I mean, they've brought in, somebody had a bowling ball, the sports memorabilia with the
batting glove?
No, the ring, the World Series ring.
Oh, okay.
I communicated with an angel. The NHL, I had an NHL Hall of Famer. And he came through and he put the mask on me and shoo, shoo, shoo. That's me skating, by the way. And I don't know much about hockey. Love it. So she brought in his ring. And so she's sitting there talking with me and I go, there's a guy here. He's got a mask and shoulder pads and I'm on skates. And who's the hockey player? And she's like, oh, my husband was a 3-time NHL and yeah,
just
NHL
casually drops that in and you're like, okay.
Yeah. So, but that ring, so I'm scrambling here to come up with things, but it's all personal. Now, another way that your loved ones will connect with you is dreams.
Yes.
And, again, it's the number one question parents ask me. It really, really is, when is my child going to come forward and let me know they're okay? And for those, or why does the mom get the dream and the dad doesn't of the child? And it just pains me. I never know how long it'll take. I never know why they go to someone else. Again, we all have strengths. So if mom's more visual and dad's more clairaudient, he may hear his son giggle and she may see her son in a dream. And that's the way I kind of gauge it. But, I say after somebody crosses, keep a journal and use that journal, that grief journal, not only for your journey, but also the communication. So if you had a dream, jot it down. Where were you? Where did your partner take you? What was that experience like? Some people like to light a candle. I know in some cultures, I've been shown what I would call a bit of a temple in a home that had certain candles and objects, religious of some sort there. And if that brings you peace, by all means, light the candle and say, in the Spanish culture,
the ofrendas. The ofrendas are beautiful.
Yeah.
I always, the Dios de los Muertos, how they commemorate their loved ones is so beautiful. How they have this whole mantle and they have flowers and pictures and it is a day of remembrance. And so the loved one's soul continues.
They come and visit specifically on that day.
That they are never forgotten.
Yeah.
And how amazing is that? That is to be loved and to be seen even after you cross.
Yeah, and celebrated for it.
Yeah.
And they also do it with their animals.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yes. I've seen a lot more of it later, like lately, of people like, I'm going to put my dog up here. I'm like,
picture.
Yeah. It's very sweet.
So if that works for you, by all means. So again, this is not only about what you can do to connect with them. These are all, if you will, ideas to have that opportunity to be in their energy, to be in their presence. Another one, a lot of people like when they come forward and they're like, okay, I've got my dad's college burgundy sweatshirt with 2 holes in the neck and no string. And yeah, I like to be specific. And if that brings you comfort to wear dad's sweatshirt or your brother's sweatshirt, and they come forward and they're standing there going, and they'll stand like they'll have a sweatshirt on the other side, your angels. And they're like, talk about this, talk about this, talk about this, And again, that's how you can connect with them. So if they're telling me on the other side that they know you have their sweatshirt and it brings you comfort on this side and it's used as an opportunity to link, then by all means, do that. I still have my mom's scarf.
Yes.
And
I have a few of hers as well.
And it still smells like her.
Yeah. I try to keep them
separate.
I keep them contained in one spot so I can have them. And I know I was very fortunate that Pop-Up was there at my graduation and he gave me a ring that he had purchased for my mom back in the 70s. And interestingly enough, and this is a personal story of mine, and I haven't told you this, so I figured I'd save
surprises.
it. I'd save it for.
I love surprises.
Save it for this. So, recently Pop-Up has crossed and, I know we are still on our journey with that grief. However, I was in the process of moving and I know I had the ring. I could not find the ring. And this was right before he had crossed. And I was like, man, I needed something. And I knew things were happening and things were progressing and I needed some comfort. And I was looking for this heirloom. And unfortunately, I could not find it. I had tore up my jewelry box. I know because I don't wear it very often because it is a very special ring to me. And I only bring it out for special occasions. And I was like, man, I want to wear this ring when I go down to Florida, when we go down and I could not find this ring. And I told my mom, I'm just like in my room, I'm just knee deep in boxes. And I'm just like, Mom, what are you doing? What are you doing? Can you help me out here? Like,
can you help a sister find
Please help me. Please help me. Because I really wanted this ring to wear down for his funeral, to have some sort of connection and how special it was to me. Well, I could not find it. And I was pretty heartbroken about it because I needed something. And we get down there, we had the funeral and I was later gifted a beautiful Eagles winter jacket that my Pop-Up had, and it still smelled like him. And now mind you, this was in the middle of summer. So, I'm not going to wear it on the plane, but I wasn't trusting luggage security at all because I knew how special this sportsman jacket that came on the plane with me. And I remember carrying it all the way through security, getting it all the way home. And I will never forget this. I went to hang up his jacket in my closet, and I closed my closet. And something told me in my gut to look at another spot. Something told me a ring. It like popped in my head, the ring. And I was like, is it time for me to find it? Is it time for me to find it? And I hung up Pop-Up's jacket and I went back to the jewelry box, but I went in it was tucked away in the jewelry box, and it was underneath other things that there's a little secret compartment in my jewelry box that I didn't know about. And I don't know how it got there. I have no idea, but there was the ring, and it was like, okay, now I have a piece of my mom. And she showed up because I have a piece of Pop-Up now with me too. So
wow.
Yeah. And it's like, that's a sign for me, folks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is a sign for me. I'm going to take that. And I believe in my heart, because, my mom Joan was a little bit of a trickster. She could be a little naughty. I knew in my mind right then and there, the reason why I didn't have that ring is because I needed to bring back something else, just dedicated to Pop-Up.
Yeah.
And then I could have something of theirs together again.
And that's a lovely story. Thank you for sharing it. When you have those pieces, they mean the world to you, and my heart goes out to anybody who ever experiences a fire. We've got a lot of fires going on all over the place because of the drought, and to lose those lovely, the photographs and mementos, but holding on to Pop-Up's Eagles jacket and having my mom's ring, the world is good again, right?
Yeah.
All is right in the world.
Let me tell you, in waiting for my luggage, and I had it footballed under my arm, and I had 3 guys come up to me and go, "Is that an Eagles jacket?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." They're like,
it's vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and go Birds.
Yeah.
But, and I said, this is not leaving anywhere. This is coming home with me. And they go, "Okay, it's a really nice jacket."
Yeah.
I go, "Pop-Up, look at you." I'm like,
yeah. Don't even think about it, buddy.
Don't even think about it.
So, also, how can you connect with your loved ones, right? They're around, especially on special holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. So get a cupcake, put a candle in it, sing happy birthday to them. Yes. Connect with them. They'll come if, they'll come, especially during those times. They often will show me those dates or what you were doing on their birthday to either commemorate them or how you were spending your day. Now, music is a big thing because I play guitar badly. Aubrey plays viola better than I play guitar for sure.
Together we make a makeshift band if we wanted to take it out on the road.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, for during COVID, out in the front porch.
Porch fest.
Yeah, we had our own private porch. Well, yeah. But, music, songs, play their favorite album. Sit there and play their favorite album.
You ever listen to the radio and a song pops up and that makes you say, "Oh my gosh."
Speaking of,
yeah.
Okay, I had an experience just happened a couple of weeks ago. There was a couple of songs back from the 50s that my dad would sing to me. That was kind of like our thing. And one of which was Yakety Yak, Don't Talk Back. And I don't know how this happened, but I have Pandora. I had it on. I was in the shower. I got out of the shower and I was yelling at my better half, a nice yell about getting something. And all of a sudden, I don't know, the music changed on Pandora and went to Yakety Yak, Don't Talk Back. And I'm sitting there going, "What the hell? What? And I was like, "Dad, are you here?" And there's a couple of songs.
Dean Martin for me.
Oh, Pop. Yeah.
Yeah, Dean Martin. The other day, I was hanging out with some friends and we got on the subject of a restaurant, Buco de Beppo.
Oh.
Where we have taken Pop-Up before.
Yeah.
And many a times in the past, the Pope Room. Missed the Pope Missed the Pope Room.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it. Didn't think anything of it. My friend has his Spotify playlist playing, and randomly Volare from Dean Martin comes on. Yeah. Everybody knows it. Volare. Whoa. And we just all looked at each other, and I was like, pop up? Are you hanging out?
Yeah.
You want to go to Buco de Beppo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certain little things like that. Music
Dad was a huge karaoke singer.
yes.
Loved, I mean, at his celebration of life, like there's Dad with the mic. And it was very funny because the people that got up and talked about my pop were talking about, like Dad, like there would be karaoke, right? And there would be 2 mics. Well, no, there'd be 1 mic because Bob had the mic in his back pocket and wasn't sharing. And
He forgot to hand it out. It happens to the best of us.
And every time there's a song, there's Bob on the mic again.
Yep.
Oh, God love him. So play the song. Play the song that connects, right? Obviously, looking through photo albums is a way to connect, to do that, or visit their favorite, spot, whether it's the beach, like I said, the mountains. The techniques involved are simple. It's just be in the moment, to the intention. Set the intention that, you know what, Mom, I hope you're good. If you're here with us, if you could make a presence known, that would be great. Like I said, I shared how she made her presence known. So setting the intention, right? I want to be with you. I miss you. If you could give me a sign. And those signs vary, right? They're personal, whether it's you smell the perfume, like we said, hear their voice, feel a touch. I have felt my arm being touched, the room getting colder, the lights flickering. God, Grandpop did that, when my brother refused to go get a beer to put in his coffin.
My mom set off my alarm one time.
Oh, she did?
Unintentionally.
Okay.
She didn't want me falling asleep on the couch after a long day's work.
That's right.
Because you were telling me, like, Aubrey, I hate when you sleep on the couch in your work clothes.
Yes.
Go upstairs and change and go to bed.
Yeah. And
I was younger then. I didn't listen as much. Yeah, she set off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You went away. You were on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I come home from working like 3 doubles, craziness,
Mm-hmm.
restaurant business. I remember I just melted in the couch and I dozed off. And all of a sudden I wake up, my alarm, quite literally opera music blasting through this alarm. I had an older alarm because all the other ones didn't work for me at the time. So I think you gave me like an old school alarm clock. There's like 2 buttons, can't mess it up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden blasting through my bedroom. And I shot up, I ran upstairs, opened the door. The room in my room was freezing and all the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I don't know why I said it. I did it because I did. I said, okay, Mom, I'll go to bed now. Because I knew right then and there it was her.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll give you a sign.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're least expecting it.
That's it. Go to bed.
Yeah.
But why I chose this to talk about the connection is that it's not anybody can connect with their loved ones. You don't have to be a medium. You don't have to have, this heightened awareness. You sit with them, you set the intention that you want to spend time with them, and they will let you know. And the more you do it, and I'm not saying every day, but, the more that you sit with them and whether you hold on to their belongings, you feel, their touch, their favorite radio song comes on in the car, their television show comes on, those things that connect you to them, they'll show you. You don't need a medium to do this work. Or they'll use something electronic. Aubrey talked about the alarm clock. We had a situation recently in Salem where my mom used a spirit box and said, and the word came up, I'm right next to you. I'm like, right next to me? Who's right next to me? And my mom's name came up, Joan. And I about fell out of the damn chair because I was like, what? And then the next word, mischievous, came up. And my mom totally was. She colored outside the circle, outside the lines her entire life. And so, that's her way of letting her know she's with us. So as we wrap up this talk about how to connect with your angels, the things that you can do, my mediumship moment to you is just that. I want you to, with the holidays coming up, take an ornament, take that pizzelle maker, take that lasagna pan. Guys, if it's Dad's toolbox and you get out the wrench and you maybe put together some holiday gifts with it, but use those mementos to connect with your angels. And as I always say, keep chatting with your angels because they can hear you.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time for another episode of Mediumship Moments. If you enjoyed this episode of Kym's podcast, check her out on Instagram and TikTok at Kym Durham Medium.